Hey, good morning. Door's open. I shifted my camera a little bit so you can't see it as well, but the door is open today. We'll see if the cats come to join me. Um, Happy Sunday. I woke up this morning and um, I thought it was Monday, so that kind of sucked. I woke up, I was very confused. I was ready to go to work, and then I realized, hey, wait a second, I did not do brunch this week. And that kind of made me happy because it meant that I still had a day before I had to go to work again. All right, let's check this stuff out. Let's see what's going on in Swuggerland. The master beta testing. I have a firm grip on my master beta testing. Yes, Zander, I do. Thank you for the dirty joke, but that is Hod's material. And he's actually right below you. Watch someone do 50 push-ups. Do you think you could do that? Dad, of course, son, don't want to brag, but I could probably watch someone do 100 push-ups. And you can watch me do push-ups with that Twitch redemption. I do enjoy when it gets redeemed because then it means that I can pretend that I was healthy for that day. I am excited because yesterday morning I caved and, well, I guess it was yesterday afternoon. I caved and I bought myself a third monitor. It's not here yet. It's supposed to be here later today. I don't even know if I have the desk space for a third monitor, but I just have wanted one for a long time, and we're going to try and see if we can work that into brunch to make my life a little easier. We'll be on raid today. Back's having. Be well, Womp Rat. Seriously, man, be well. And drink. That's how we do things, right? All right, let's see. Let's see what TB is actually looking like this morning, shall we? My hair is washed. It is. It's true. I took a shower before we stream. Brunch is the only time that I really take a shower before I stream. I have a pre-stream ritual, which involves taking a shower, sitting on Discord for a half hour, going on Vance's account to kind of deal with my ulcers and make those worse. Lunchtime whiskey. I will be having a lunchtime whiskey as well, but it is unfortunately not lunchtime yet. It looks like we are on track for 44 again. However, a certain German someone who won't be named used their Grand Inquisitor instead of deploying their Grand Inquisitor, which is going to set us back a little bit. I don't think it's going to cause us an issue. I don't think it's going to be a problem. We generally do get enough battle GP on day 6, so I'm pretty sure that we're going to be okay. Con Warlock, man, I watched like 5 seasons of The Flash, and at first it was one of the better CW shows, but then, like, you could sum up every season of The Flash as being, I am the fastest man alive, and then, oh no, there's somebody faster than me, what do I do? And then, now I'm the fastest man alive again, and everything's okay. And that's The Flash in a nutshell. So what I'm planning to do with the third monitor right now, I have all of my browser stuff on my right monitor. I have all of my stream stuff on my right monitor. That's why when I'm looking this way and it looks like I'm not talking to you guys, I actually am looking at your words. And then I have a game monitor right here. I was thinking of a monitor here, a monitor in the corner because it's a corner desk, and then a monitor here. And I would have one that would have my stream. It would be my dedicated stream monitor, and a monitor for the game, and then a monitor for all my browser sources, which I think will make my life a little bit easier. Jaden, all thanks goes to my wife, honestly, because every night when I come home and CG decides to drop something on us, it has been, oh, hey, honey, how you doing? Let's go cook dinner. And then it'll be, oh, shit, something just dropped. Can we wait 20 minutes? And I think she's getting very annoyed with me about that, but she hasn't said anything. So we're all going to appreciate Mrs. Egg for not divorcing me over Relic Delta. Okay, let's actually get started, shall we? I did this yesterday, and this battle was actually... this battle is actually autoable. So let's see if it is still autoable with the Rogue One ship. It was very nice to not have to play this battle, I gotta tell you guys. But who watches the monitors? Who monitors the monitors? That's gonna be me for Halloween with my big blue penis. Mrs. Egg does enjoy sour cream, actually. She's a big fan of sour cream. And anytime we make dinner, we'll make HelloFresh, and they love giving us mayo or sour cream based things. And I'm okay with those things if they're mixed into something else. And she'll be like, I want, just put a tiny dollop on mine because I like the like sriracha mayo like taste. And she will dump the rest on hers, and it's the grossest thing in the world to me. I don't know if this is going to be a reliable auto. It autoed just fine yesterday, but we are losing ships. Maybe if we make it like a targeted auto. I think this is going to have to be a targeted auto going forward. Look at this shit. Look at that shit. You see the end of next episode and the anniversary. I mean, that makes sense. We are kind of told, right, that it's going to release. Well, they told us that it's not going to come to Conquest until after the full Stranger Conquest, which to me very strongly implies that it's coming before the next Conquest ends. So we learned something very important here with this battle, which is unfortunate, which is that it is definitely not a reliable auto with Rogue One. I think it'll be reliable as a targeted auto, but that's not going to help us today. That's okay. We learned something. That's all we can ask for. Egnards is doing well. If you had a bet, when do you think they'll release the BKM LSB? I have all the mats, but I have a feeling that when I press the button, the LSB will be released. I mean, that's basically how it is, AF1, right? Is basically the moment that you need something and that you've put something in, that's the moment that it releases. I'm going to be honest, I just do not like speculating around Lightspeed bundles. I just do not like doing it. I don't believe in waiting for Lightspeed bundles. I think the landscape of the game with old characters is going to be significantly changing with this Relic Delta. Maybe not the Relic Delta update, but in the future towards the Relic, working with the Relic Delta update. I'm a just go for it kind of person. Caleb, my favorite wing flavor is whatever the hottest one on the menu is. That's my answer. I literally, I will walk into bars and I will order wings and they will say what flavor, and I'll say whatever the hottest one you have is. And they will say to me, are you sure, honey? It's really hot. And I'll say, I promise you, I will be completely fine. And the wing flavor is never, ever as hot as I want it to be. All right, let's get the Mara Jade. Speaking of scribe, does anyone notice that there are a lot of bald men that content create for Star Wars? There are just so many bald men. And a lot of them are smaller. A lot of them are not as big as scribe. But it just seems to be a vibe within the content creator community for Swugga. Boeing wings, the hottest. Yes, Zander, that's exactly what I'm saying. There is not a single other content creator in this ecosphere, I promise you, heroes, that that can compete with me when it comes to hot wings. It wouldn't even be a challenge. It would be the saddest, silliest, scariest thing for all of them. Yeah, last week we had the berm, right? The berm is on there, and then there's a few others in the space. There's a few that are getting there, but they haven't admitted yet that they're bald. He's just like me. Oh, man. I need you guys to pray for me today because the Broncos are playing the Eagles, and I have a bad feeling about it, but I really want to win. Well, I don't know, man, because Calvin called me out with, like, the whole dirty hair thing. So I feel like he's gunning for best hair. Morning, Sindel. Oh, man. Ooh. It's been a vacant throne since Gridden. We'll have to, I will put it in, you know what, the problem is, I would say let's put it in as a Gungies category, but I have elected to not be part of the awards process. Because even though I am on the smaller side, it is largely my community that votes very heavily. So I do want to make sure that it is fair. Best button-up shirt. I do have old pictures of me with a buzz cut because when I was 18, when I moved for college, I grew my hair out. I was like, screw this, I'm growing my hair out. I'm not going for haircuts anymore. And about 2 years later, I ended up shaving the entire thing off. I donated it to Locks of Love and then the whole shave. And I do look like a skinhead, and it's pretty disgusting. I also look like a baby because I was like 20. That's true. We have not seen Cap with hair. But he is not bald. It is a military thing. The Gungies they're sort of coming up. So last year when we did the Gungies, we did them in January. And that made for like a mess, and we kind of did it as a joke, right? And it started as a joke, and then it wasn't a joke. We are planning to hold the Gungies, but they're going to be later this year. This year we've kind of decided it makes more sense to start the process later in the year and to host the show in like February or March. And the reason we want to do that is that it gives us the full year for like best character and things like that. But it's also less of a rush around the holidays to get like different content creators to do different things. So it's gonna feel like longer than 12 months because it is gonna be longer than 12 months. But it just makes sense for the health of the show for it to be like mid-February, early March. Hoarding Cantina energy for bonus drops for presumably for Zetas, right? I don't think we know what energy is which drop, though historically has always been Cantina is Zetas. My thought is it really depends on you, you know, because it's a bonus drop. I am not hoarding. I'm not in a Zeta crunch. I know I have an older account, so I do need Zetas, but not to the same extent that other people need them. So I'm not hoarding. I need the signal data way more. You know, for a lot of people, it makes sense to maybe hoard if Zetas are more of a blockage for you. Max Crate feels great. We got Max Crate two raids ago, and oh my god, the jump, the 2000 MK3 is huge. It is such a big deal. Like it is so beautiful. Oh, there it is. Of course, right after. It really, oh my god, it has really jump-started the amount of materials I have to be able to do upgrades. Our raid actually ends later today, so I'm excited for that. I get my stuff. I get my my arrow magnifiers. Okay, calm down, Zander. Relax. We're still moving up. Hoarding for my GL Hondo, who, I mean, I should have him. Who came out right before Jude Law? Once the guy right before Jude Law becomes farmable, I should have it within like a week or two of that. So my POW is holding me up. My POW is my lowest right now at 5.5 stars, so maybe not. Yes, the jump between second to last box and last box is huge, and you make it up so quickly. Wolfman. All right, my Wolfman is actually pretty close, I think. I think I actually only need like 6 shards. I don't remember. Mine are all close except POW is 5.5 stars. So it's not that long, right? I'll be there fairly soon. And I don't have the mods for him. I don't have anything ready for him, but we'll figure it out. We always do, right? It's the egg way. Yeah, I think POW is gonna be my biggest bottleneck, but I've been doing 2x refreshes of him, which has actually been pretty tough. Just because I don't refresh ship energy. So every day is very close. There we go. Oof. Sweet enough. Let's get these guys in. Knights of Knee. I told you this. I told you this months and months and months ago. You can get to that 235 box just with Scorch and Tarkin. That gets you to 230. And then just people need to run like a solo after that. Scorch Tarkin gets you to that box. It is so easy and people need to take advantage of that. Well, that's the thing, half one. I think it was kind of like poorly timed for him coming out because a lot of people get their they get their opinion of a character right in that first couple of days, which is kind of dumb. And with such an oppressive DC out at the time, it did make him seem lackluster. But the reality is, and this has always pissed me off about the community, people in this community, they're always like, oh, well, it gets beat by this one thing, so it sucks. That's not how GAC works. GAC is one part offense team, one part defense team, and one part baiting people into using a really strong team on something so that they can't counter something else. Right? Those things are so important, doing it that way to make things like weird like that. Well, DT, you know my feelings on moving guilds. I do think it's an important part of this game. You don't owe your guild anything. And, you know, we've had a few people move into our guild recently and have had hostile old guild members of theirs be like very angry with them. To me, that's like a poor friendship. That just shows that they've never cared in the first place, you know? Somebody leaves my guild, I say, hey, best of luck. If they leave for a better guild, I say, awesome, man, great job. If they leave because they're retiring, I say, hey, can you please give me like 3 more days of just doing tickets while I find a replacement? I appreciate it. It's all about that respect. In terms of Jedi Master Mace Windu, I don't have great mods on the team yet. I obviously just unlocked it. I'm still working on his mods. I have been underwhelmed with the team overall. I don't know how he performs in PvP yet. I don't know. I do think it's kind of silly that Jedi Master Mace Windu has a lot of like anti-Sith synergy, and both C and Traya beat him. That's just kind of like a weird silliness to me. But what do I know? I'm just an egg. Let's see. What up? I'm gonna do all dark side, right? I have my R9 Wampa now. When we started doing Malachor platoons, I demanded that I get R9 Wampa. But we're not actually placing the platoons yet, so I get to use him. I also accidentally put on one of Jedi Master Mace Windu's Omicrons, which really annoyed me. I was just very, very quickly placing the abilities and not paying attention. And I thought it was a Zeta ability, and it was not. So I don't even know if it's one of his good Omicrons or not. But it very much annoyed me. mascot. That's a shame. The Treya team is beautiful, and like I said, even in the Relic Delta, like I was beating Relic Delta 5 teams with it. To the point where they specifically were like, all right, can we stop testing Treya? We understand that she just aged really well, and she has a special gimmick that makes her really good. Oh, look at that. We're bringing people together into new guilds. That's what we do here on Brunch. Bring in the love. QE. Q. Well, that supply crate might be R9, you know. We don't know because they're all R0 right now. That could be R9 in the future. Bro. Let's see, Womprat. Okay, I will message you after Womprat because I have no problem doing this. However, I will shoot you a message in a minute on Discord. I don't want to say anything. Well, I don't even know why you would even think about having water with it because water does not help with spice. All right, I think we killed the spy last time, and that's what worked. If I remember correctly, I don't remember. We're gonna just find out. All right, Womprat, I just messaged you. Oh man. Oh, he only gains ult charge on his own turn. Okay, that's why. It's like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense, but now it makes sense. I don't know. I don't think this is working today. Buffs and allies, other bounty hunters, allies. This is not working today. Gotta figure out who the best one to attack is. They are just knocking me out. I don't know. Who did we attack last time? I don't remember. Ah, okay. I got you, Womp Rat. I gotcha. Man, all right. We have to do this with Tarkin, right? Really would love to be able to R9 my Lord Vader. But there's always somebody in my guild forcing me to R9 something else. Morning, Panda. You know the drill. Welcome to brunch. You know how it works here. The Wampa auto battle, or the Jabba auto battle is... It's one that makes... If you have a spouse, they're going to ask questions. Fuck. They're going to want to know what's going on. You're going to attempt to kill that guy. Good. We can get this down to like one guy left. Does this also reduce anything? Okay, offense down, sure. Who has the most? Let's get you. I don't know why, it just seems right to get you. These sticky death marks. And fucking taunts, man. I would like Lord Vader. Okay, well that's not working. Okay, well, here's the thing. We have one more combat that we can attempt. And it's a tricky combat. And while we go to do that combat, we're going to take a vote. Obviously, our good friend Moonborn, the only German that we trust, did a dumb. And he forgot to deploy his Grand Inquisitor, which puts us in the precarious position that I do not gain an extra 33 million here. Right now, the guild is at, let's do our math, 680, 50, 294 plus 396 minus 353. So we need 337. We are at a negative 63. I actually think we might be able to make up that negative 63, but, you know, it might be a little bit iffy. We have a lot of Grand Inquisitors, and they've all been deployed because Vandor does have multiple. right? So there's 3 there. There's another one here. There's another one there. So all of our other, there's one there. All of our other Grand Inquisitors have been deployed. Moonborn has brought dishonor amongst the Order of the Egg. If I do not R9 my Grand Inquisitor, there's about, I think, a 75% chance that that will still hit 44. No, probably like a 50 to 60% chance that we will still hit it. If I do the Grand Inquisitor, there's probably about a 100% chance, honestly, that we will. See, some people are trying out some combats, which is okay. We said they could. So the question becomes, while I'm doing this last combat that we are eligible for over here, the one that goes fairly quickly and probably will be a loss, do we save Moonborn? And do we R9 Grand Inquisitor? Adis, I'm not aware of that right now because I 60 million below is not that bad, believe it or not, Rescue Panda, because of how much these combats are worth. Can you make Moonborn atone by getting any other? Well, our guild is actually very good at doing platoons, typically. Not last minute platoons, but just platoons in general. So the question becomes, while we do this combat, do we help Moonborn out by R9ing Grand Inquisitor? That is the question. And you guys have probably about 3 to 4 minutes. And I can't do a poll because we have a multi-stream going on. You know, so with the multi-stream going on, the poll would be disingenuous. Do we help Moonborn? My Grand Inquisitor right now is Relic 7. So it would be 2 Relic levels. And 20 Droid Brains. Do we do it? And while that is going on, we will hope for the best here. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just see what happens. This was one of the fastest battles I've ever seen. I know. I've wanted to R9. I have wanted to R9 Lord Vader for so long, and something always gets in the way of me R9ing Lord Vader. It is a little annoying. This is the quickest fucking battle. Oh my god. Well, that was that battle. Zhonga Wan Saram Wayo. I don't know what that means. That was the quickest battle I have seen. So I'm gonna go refill my coffee cup while you guys continue discussing. But it does seem so far like as a guild or as a community, you guys do want me to step in and help him. If you squint and tilt your head, he kind of looks like Vader. Isn't that the point? I feel like that's the point. If there are no objections, it seems like the like 4 of you that voted have decided that we should help Moonborn out. Oh, goodbye. Goodbye, impulse detectors. Yes, we should have time. Rescue, what do you? Here's the thing, Rescue Panda. Here's what I'm gonna tell you. I am planning on doing reviews today, but I am on a timetable, and you are 5th in line. So if this is a thing of like, should I try to stay awake? I would recommend going to sleep. It's probably unlikely that I'll be able to get to yours in the list, even when I get to reviews today. All right. This one's for you, Moonborn. If everyone can clip that and send that to him, that would be great. Do I even have anything? I don't have anything that can do anything, right? No, that's not doing shit. Okay, let me just change goals. 720 is next. This has to go to... This can go to 650. We're going to just send a tag. We're going to notify people on Discord because we didn't do any tags this morning. So I'm going to do that real quick. And then we are going to keep going. And while we do that, I'm going to post something in the chat from Womprat. I can't give all of the details because he may be there, but it seems, for those of you that know Ranger was here last week. We had a lovely chat. He does a ton for charity, a metric ton for charity, like so much charity work within his content creator space. And Womprat would like to do something special for him. So he asked me to send out this Google form, which I actually haven't looked out at yet, but I trust Womprat. So I'm gonna post that in both Twitch and YouTube chat. But I can't get more specific than that because just in case Ranger is here, I don't want to give away the additional surprise. So just go check that out because he is a great member of this community and, you know, the beta program and everything else. And he has other charity opportunities that are coming up in the very near future with Halloween. And that kind of stuff means a great deal to me. This guy, who that guy is. Yes, the Halloween stream, we are on board with that. Ranger was in here last week chatting with us about that. And it is probably something that I'm going to try to work some time in for myself to be able to pop in and help with it in any way that I can. Okay, well, we're done with we are done with TB. We're gonna move into Conquest. It is what, 51 minutes. I'm basically done with Conquest at this point. I have 2 feats that need to be finished up. They're just survive feats. And I've been doing them with Crosshair and with Leia because it's just easier to do it this way. but I have wanted to focus more on my Datacron farming. Will I wear an anime maid outfit for Halloween? If it raises money for charity, I would strongly consider it. When it comes to charitable contributions, I honestly, I don't really have much shame. Where are you? Christmas. Should really put Drogon there, because I feel like R2-D2 is killing the Brute, and it's not dropping his health or something, so I'm not getting TM for it. So then Captain Rex takes too long to take his turns. I'm not acknowledging your joke, Dan. Sorry, man. Fuck. I just did. Two more. Let's go, Captain Rex. Get that turn, bitch. Well, friends, this is our time to chat while we are needlessly and endlessly going through Conquest. So let's liven this bitch up a little bit. I am curious to know not what your views on Relic Delta are, but how your views have changed on Relic Delta over the last 2 weeks. From the start to now. Are you slightly more on board with it? Are you less on board with it? Knights of Knee, you're reading my mind with this Relic Delta talk. Conquest feats will be something to look out for with Delta changes. That's why they are putting a later date. So Knights of Knee, what they said was that they do not want to disrupt a conquest in the middle of a cycle. So I think they recognize it may increase or decrease somebody's ability to do feats. And they don't, you know, like imagine if you were able to red crate the first one and not the second one, that could really suck. So I think they just want to wait till a full cycle is over. And I hope they continue. I really do think the numbers need to be a little bit lower. So I do hope that they continue lowering those numbers. All right, I need to do one more thing. What are my feats here? I did that. An easy win. Win with Wrecker Mercenary. That's actually not too hard. Just there's 2 regular feats. All right, so what's this one? Win with SM33 surviving. We could probably do that. With who do I have? Something with lots of supports, probably. Let's do this. Let's see how this works. The new R9 Grand Inquisitor. Pico, Pico's points on Relic Delta were very funny. Just watching him go through all the different stages of grief was kind of hilarious on ZP. It made me laugh pretty considerably to listen to him. Just like be upset and then be really sorry about being upset. I think we're good at this point. It's happening. I'm telling you that, yes, they're adamant about it because they've spent development time working on it, like a huge amount of development time working on it. So it's happening, and a lot of people think that they're just going to change direction, and that's not going to happen. Zap, I agree with you. I've been really focused on the short-term stuff to make sure that it is as least disruptive as possible. That is very important to me, so that people do not get screwed over. If they, if they're very honest about how it's going to be handled in assault battles, I hope that at least up to CT2 is treated in a way that is like no relics, just because you can get through all of the CTs with no relics, even Secrets and Shadows, if you do it correctly. But for now, I will continue to report the things I'm told to report, and if there are any CG operatives out there right now listening to Brunch, all I ask you to do, please, it would be really great, guys, if you gave us information ahead of time so that we could put out a video on our, we could prepare a video on our own time and make it a private video, not an unlisted video, a private video. And then you can, lift the embargo a day later on information so that I didn't have to disrupt my life to report on your stuff. That would be super great. I did see someone ask what I spent Conquest money on, and basically when it comes to Conquest, I spend everything on the shards, and after the shards I spend everything on blue signal data. That's how I do things, because blue signal data is so limiting. Well, Conquest, we have months until they fix it. Conquest, for the most part, is going to be better. But the feat acquisition is going to be rough unless they fix that. But we have at least 3 months until that. $1,000 a month. Mystery, I know people who would call you free to play. I know a few players that would be like, oh, that's basically free to play. Which is funny to me. They've definitely been better about selling us signal data with all of these ascensions. But honestly, for me, I'm going to give it a try in the real game. For me, I think that I am going to not be spending anything in the near future. That is not a pledge. That's just, when I'm happy about something, I spend. When I'm not happy about something, I don't spend. Right now, I think I'm probably not going to spend on the episode passes until we see more, but we'll see what happens. So for ROTE, for Rise of the Empire, for Rise of the Empire, the day that I think I'm most excited about is Dathomir. Dathomir battles take so long. So I'm really excited to see that sped up. But like, I had said this to CG, 5 planet day. 5 planet day for a lot of guilds is day 4. It's not going to really speed up a lot because you're going to be sped up by like by like 10%. And that's really not going to cause a significant reduction or increase in time spent. Well, Zander, feats with debuffs. If you think about Conquest, it's going to be Sector 1 is Relic 4, and Sector 2 through 5 is going to be Relic 5. So, like, people who have a Relic 9 Padawan Obi-Wan are going to just be blowing through those debuffs, but they're not going to actually attempt to apply those debuffs. So I think that that's something that they're very strongly going to have to consider. I think one thing that players do need to consider is all players seem to think that they are all players seem to think that they are competing against everybody, and that's not true. I don't even consider myself competing against like the gauntlet because I have no intention of getting to the gauntlet. Zap, yes and no. I think that some bugs are not created equally. There's a difference between solving a problem and fixing a bug. Solving a problem can be as easy as, oh, I know what to do, let's code this. Fixing a bug can be, oh, there's millions of lines of code. Where is this bug happening? Why is this bug happening? I have personally, never seen any of the drop bugs from Ahsoka. When it comes to kit bugs, I personally think that a lot of the times they do not fix kit bugs on purpose. And because they look at win rates and they're happy with where a team falls with the bug there, and they say, all right, like, it's not a big deal that it's here because it's the team is doing what I want it to do. Think about like CX2, who had a 20, or it might have been Disguised Clone Trooper, I'm not sure which one, had a 20% TM increase in his kit that never worked. I think it was Disguised Clone Trooper. And I think that it wasn't that it took them so long to take it out because they didn't know how to do it. I think that what ended up happening was they were happy with where the team was. They probably fixed it on their own internal servers. It overpowered the team and they decided, oh, well, we got to take this out. Debuffs apply when you do the specials. Yes, GLS, but the way that combat is coded is that in 9 times out of 10, damage happens before the attempt to apply. So if Padawan Obi-Wan goes and just kills something, then that, the attempt to apply doesn't even happen, which is a problem. And, it's not as easy as, oh, you just need lower relic allies. If you are in the end game, a lot of your roster is above Relic 5. Yeah, and look at, like, Negotiator with Jedi Knight Anakin and that bug, right? There was a bug that he'd get unending loyalty or whatever, and he became invulnerable. And they didn't fix that for 2 years, and they kept saying, oh, it's fixed now, and it was never fixed. And then the day that Executor released, they were like, oh, by the way, we fixed this. And it was suddenly fixed, So I do have a little bit of a conspiracy theory in that relation, that some things they feel are not a problem until they decide, oh, it's a problem. And I need... let's see. What is it in Sector 3? Because I need that shit. Oh, But I hate fighting against this team. This is such an annoying team to fight. If you have Luthen, I still use Mon Mothma with Luthen. Some people use Mon Mothma with Saw. I personally like the Mon Mothma with Luthen team. It gets me holds pretty often. Could they be shorthanded? They could be, but I mean, you look on their website, there's like 30 people working at CG. I don't know the exact number, but you know, I don't know. I can't pretend to know what their structure is on this game specifically and how shorthanded or big-handed they are. Without Luthen, I don't think that the Mon Mothma team is that worth it unless you have Saw. But I don't really use the Saw team, so I can't really comment on the Saw team. You know, here's the thing about the acquisition. I know people are concerned about the acquisition of this game. When it comes to leveraged buyouts, and I've said this, leveraged buyouts are basically like, it's like when you have a Pokemon collection or an MTG collection, or you have a full collection of something, and you can get a pretty penny if you have the whole collection, and you do that because it's easier. But overall, if you piecemeal sold it, you're probably going to make more money, but it's a pain in the ass. That's basically what a leverage buyout does. Those people, they're saying, hey, we're going to spend 50 billion, but if we piecemeal out this company, we can make 70 billion. So it doesn't necessarily mean that games are going to close, but it does mean that they're going to get sold off. And I think that what is going to end up happening is we're not going to see much difference in this game for at least a year. But after that year, the game will probably get sold off to another company. And that doesn't necessarily mean that CG won't be part of it. You know, CG will be sold off as a studio. Hugsy, it's not as simple as that. Leveraged buyouts, they basically put all of the debt into EA, so EA has to pay for it. So you do kind of want to pump and dump it. You want to sell out all of the assets from the company and then bankrupt it and say goodbye. But that could take 5 years. That could take 10 years. You bleed things dry. But that doesn't mean that a game dies. It means that the game will get sold off or the company will get sold off. Snorlax, why am I not simming? I say this, I feel like every single conquest where I'm simming, where I do conquest, when I play the game on my own, I do sim conquest. I'm not insane. I do not sit here not simming all the time. When I am playing during brunch, I do not sim because this is like my time to chat, right? We can go and sim all of this and move right into roster reviews, but then I can't really chat with people. And I like to talk. So in general, this is the time where I'm chatting with you guys. The annoying part is that these specific bonus battles are annoying. That's okay. Yeah, I'm not really concerned about the long-term health of the game. You know, EA is going to be gone within 5 years, but I'm not not concerned about the game itself. It is highly profitable, and I will say this because I've seen a lot of people quote Statista lately. Statista is a website that kind of hypothesizes the profit of a game, strong guesses based on data from iOS and Android. And a lot of people have been posting those numbers lately and saying, oh, hey, this game keeps losing money. And now they're down to like 80 million in profits. One of the things that's really important to remember about a website like that, Statista, and it does say it on the website, they only use the iOS and Android numbers to determine their expected revenues. But in 2022, this game started the web store, and they have been shifting, trying to get as many people as possible buying from the web store and buying from the PC client. So a lot of that drop in revenue you see is very likely just the numbers shifting to their own sources of revenue. And those sources of revenue are important because they don't take 30% of the profits from themselves. So it's just something to keep in mind. You know, have I talked to Fat Phil? I talk to Fat Phil every day. Almost every day. Content, you blame content creators. You know, the thing about Relic Delta is after their explanation, and I know I was pretty negative on the explanation because there were some things about it I did not like, but what they're saying in their explanation does make a lot of sense. They continuously make the next Relic level more and more expensive. But it's a very linear curve in terms of what those things give you. Warning, viewer activity, stream settings. Is YouTube still down? Is YouTube being correct? We back. Okay. I don't know why YouTube has been doing that lately. Okay. I don't know why they've been doing that lately, but I unfortunately can't do much to help that. If you could tweak the numbers for Relic Delta, how would you do it? Okay, so first of all, understand, you know, a lot of the community is very doom and gloom on Relic Delta right now. And a lot of it is based off of they see numbers and they go, oh no. But the reality is, you know, the people who are testing are seeing results that don't look anywhere near as egregious as the players seem to think that it is. Just want to edit something real quick. And that's something that's really, really important for people, you know, to keep in mind, is that we are seeing things that do not look anywhere near as doom and gloom as the players. Now, with that said, right now the curve goes from negative 66% damage to positive 200% damage. And I have been a very strong advocate for it to be negative 50% damage to a positive 100% damage. That is where I think the curve exists for it to be a system that does incentivize going higher in relics, but does not brutalize the lower tier, the players who are struggling a little bit more. But again, RD 1 and 2 are pretty trivial right now. And RD 3, based off of what we're seeing, it makes some counters less clean, but those counters still exist. You're probably talking about Fatal right now, Hugsy, and I will give such a big shout out to Fatal because Fatal really pushes so much like Fatal is the unsung hero of beta right now. He is so active in his communication. He has been testing things in so many different ways. He has been suggesting so many different things on different ways to test things. He is constantly changing around his own mods to make sure it's not just his like perfect modding that is giving him good results. Like he has really, really stepped up to make sure that this testing is done right. And he's had really good results. Alongside the wives. Well, RD1 and 2 are trivial, but everyone keeps talking about 9, right? But you can't look at this system as only being a tip of the spear problem. And that's, I think, the problem that a lot of the community is looking at it, is they only are looking at it from the perspective of the players at the very, very top. They're not looking at it from the perspective of an R4 versus an R5 or an R1 versus an R0. And those things do change portions of what's going on. You know, counters exist at higher relics because of certain reasons that maybe they don't exist at lower relics. I think that their purpose with doing, you know, RD1 and RD2 is pretty minimal. Is it's still going to change percentages a little bit, but not greatly. You know, if you're doing 10% more damage and taking 10% less damage, it is going to affect whether or not your counter works. But it's not going to affect it in such an oppressive manner that it can't be overcome through other things. That is my problem with it, Hugsy, is that there are a lot of people that only look at it as an R9 problem. And I will say, like, I looked in, my last match was a Kyber 1 match. I looked at my match. My opponent, he placed literally 2 Relic 9 characters on defense. 2 characters in Kyber 1. He was a 14 million account. 2 R9 characters. I think there's going to be some growing pains in Chromium and Erodium. But I do think that the players who have high, strong accounts, who are lazier, who like will attack a little bit, but like not play at a super high level, they are going to be forced into higher leagues, into like Erodium 1 and into Kyber 5. And a lot of those accounts are going to leave Chromium and Bronzium. And I'm not talking about the players who just don't play at all, because those players just don't play at all. But I think you are going to see a shift of players moving up who have to. And it is going to make GAC after the first couple of months a little bit more bearable. Yes, they did frame it with Relic 9 and Relic 10, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist at lower Relic levels. Just because it does help with the systems at those levels, and just because that is a big reason why they're doing it, doesn't automatically mean that you're not going to see shifts in attacks at lower relic levels. Sindel, you're talking about a highly disengaged player, and you're right. The highly disengaged player is not going to move up. But you also have, and I've been working with a few people who are in, well, actually they're in Erodium now, who are in Chromium, and helping them move up. And they are highly engaged players. And we were facing 12 and 13 million accounts. And these are just casual players who do attack every time, but this is their poop game, right? These are players who don't have great mods on anything. These are players who are in more casual guilds because they're not engaging with the game at the same level that I am engaging with the game. And those players who do attack, they're going to be forced to move up. Because those players are going to see some of their enemies have an inability to do anything to them. And I think it's going to help to some extent that those players are moved out. But that's the thing, AF1. After a few months, those players are going to move up because you're unable to beat them. They're unable to lose. But I do have, I've said this, I have my opinions on GAC and how GAC needs to be fixed, you know, and I think that some of those things can really come to the game with Relic Delta. No, I think that they're going to move up enough that they are in a different layer of GAC than they were before, right? Because it's not you move up 3 leagues and then you move up down and you move down 3 leagues. You're going to move up until you're at the league that best represents your play, your playability. All right, let's move into this. Even though I don't have many attacks left for the day. I think the biggest problem with Relic Delta, and I've said this on streams, I've said this on Scribe's Discord, I've said it on Nooch's Discord, I've said it to a lot of people, is that CG is fundamentally terrible at communicating with the player base, and only the highest engaged players know about it. So the players who exist on Discord and who watch videos. There do exist players who do spend a lot of time in game and who are very focused players who do not function within the Discord ecospace. You know, there are multiple people in my guild who do their things every day, who are in a 670 million guild, who are on our Discord for tags, but do not experience the game outside of just playing the game. And those players are going to have a real shock when Relic Delta comes into the game because the messaging system in game that CG has is terrible compared to a very large majority of the mobile gaming ecosphere, right? I've played games that are brand new that have better communication systems than this game. Games by small teams of just random developers. And I really think that CG needs to open up and build out a better system for that. Zap Attack, right now we are focused on like middle level mods. All right. Let's see. What can we do with our datacrons? What can we do with our datacrons? Okay. I've not gotten any like really good datacrons that I'm happy about yet. All right, that's not bad. That I can tolerate that. Please be a good one. So now I have 2 Kylo Ren unmasked ones because why not? Cool. Super love that. Yeah. Zap, have you tested bad mod? Yeah, okay. We already kind of talked about that. I would like I will take either the SLK Archron or the special whatever forces TIE fighter. Either one I will take. But I do not have either of them right now, which is very annoying. I don't really have much at all right now. You know, this is fine. It's probably going to be okay in a 3 squad. Honestly, you know, Zander, I don't see there being a lot of teams right now that are getting a new lease because of requirements specifically. You know, because like Bo-Katan's team, Relic 7 requirements, it's already a pretty usable squad, a very strong squad. Um, uh, what else? Inquisitors already do really well, you know, um, because of Third Sister. Who else? Phoenix, as you get further into the game, you know, they're already a pretty highly engaged squad. So I'm not really seeing anything that's getting a new lease that is like, oh, just because they were a squad. But there are squads that are doing better, that are more like fun squads. You know, they're squads that are like, oh, I did this for fun, and now I can actually use it. You know, like Gerbil using his R9 Ewoks. And hopefully my Gungans, when Jar Jar is Relic 10, will maybe be even a little bit better. When it comes to mods, we load in with our own mods. We do have to random roll mods, but we have basically unlimited resources on the beta server. So we are able to, if we want to roll mods, we can do that all day long if we really want to. There's nothing really stopping us in that respect. Just going to check this real quick. Then we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to do our favorite thing, which is our roster reviews, right? So let's see. Calculator, 730 minus 692. We need 38 there. Plus 730 minus 547. 221. 6. So we need 262. 244. So we are at a negative 18 right now. That's not bad. That is easily make upable. Some people might have Tuskens R8. I think, you know, a lot of people did not push up teams when it came to crate. They might have them. Tuskens are a team that really uses very specific game mechanics, and the teams that use very specific game mechanics tend to so far be doing really, really well in Relic Delta, because they seem to be more proofed against the system as a whole. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna get to roster reviews, right? So I'll be right back. All right, we are back. I am just waiting for the bot to load. Um, our accounts have to be whitelisted in order to be loaded onto the beta server. Unfortunately, Vanced's account is not whitelisted for that specific thing. So, like, I can't just go on any of your accounts and import them. They have to be very, very specific accounts. Um, I mean, listen, Hugsy, if you're going to the R7 tier, I'm going to tell you right now, the team is useful. Don't lowest investment that. That's not how we do things. My personal opinion, obviously, but I would not recommend doing it that way. All right, we do not need the game up. We do have roster reviews coming up, and what that means, we know what that means, right? Is we do have to pop right back over to the roster review song. So let's pop that in.
Roster reviews. Egnards is having a break and taking a roster reviews. Talking to me that what pack sex should sell to you. Ooh, to you. To you.
It is the greatest, right? That song is just it is amazing. And if everyone could just Discord message Moonborn and tell him, one, that Egnards covered for him with Grand Inquisitor, but two, that you love that song and that it is just straight fire, right? It is beautiful. Uh, I know, Hadis, I have on multiple occasions literally just started singing the song because I do. It's just catchy and it's fun and it's silly and it's enjoyable. But we do have reviews to get to, so let's go over to our reviews, and we have Zander over here somewhere, right? Who is on right now? Who insists on calling me Daddy Egnards? 136.00. This is where the fun begins. It is time to brave Daddy Egnard's disappointment. I'm a returning player, so my shard is old. Thankfully, this also means that it's fairly dormant, so movement is not too great. My last return was just prior to Lightspeed bundles, and the rest is history. Regular spending is episode and conquest passes. Your Star Wars Galaxy heroes are right there. Top 20 in fleet is mostly Leviathans and Executors. I don't communicate with anyone in my shard. Do I do look like a people person? But top 10 is easy. And top 1 achievable if I actually give time to the fleet climb. Right? You should always give time to the fleet climb, and I don't get interrupted by phone calls. All assault battles are fully simmable except the Inquisitor's Tuscan CT2, Night Sister CT2, Loverboy's R7. Zander, you already know what I'm going to say here because you're here basically. You're basically here every day. Paw Patrol is R5. I listened to Phil's initial advice. Phil, he's so mad at me anytime that event comes up. If he doesn't get 3 droid brains in a row, he will send me a message that just says "fuck you." And last event, so yesterday, he got droid brains, keypads, which is quite literally the second best roll you could get, and he still got mad at me. What are you currently working on? Leia unlock journey started. Badass motherfucker. First, second pass unlock. Leviathan finishing chips off and sharding Malik. Gearing rest. Sharding raid tunes as they become available. Raid. New batch R5. Tarkin R5. Back Jonu R5, but Banff will allow a split. As the raid point person, I'm signposting Torque and Scarch and R9 for cheapest team to hit our 3 million per person target. However, I'm also trying to lead by example by being one of the higher contributors. Outstanding need to finish. GI will get Riva soon, so should be easy gas in order that I can enter. So he needs to work on his GI track because he does not yet have gas. Let that sink in. Will I listen to Egg? I'm flexible. Depends on how stern Daddy Egg is. How highly do you value efficiency? Yeah, that's what I thought. Exactly. Are there any favorite characters you want to prioritize? Darth Thirst Trap. Yeah, Quimir is going to be an interesting one. And if they don't sell us, um, he he's holding a grudge, and he told me the first time that he gets 3 droid brains in a row, he will release an apology video. So I am down for that. Um, they better release the shirtless one. I would be so mad if we don't get the shirtless Queermere. The only 7-star is Ty in. I've been doing Conquest Unlock since Ezra. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and I hope I haven't upset Daddy Egnards too much. And then he goes on and rambles. Oh, there's some rambling. He unlocked a bunch of this stuff. Wonderful. Don't care. Yow Lord. I don't know what a Yow Lord is, but if it's from Baroness, that's scary. Are my mods that bad? I've definitely seen worse, but Bosch. They're not great, Bosch mod. 8 speed and a GL team? Like, that's... Come on. I don't think I've touched them since I did SM2. Seeing the others you show me will move all but Cal's because he's where I need him to be. We're going to start a new service where I just go through your mods and highlight specific mods that need to change ASAP. And I've been doing that for some of my more private clients. And, you know, I'm not going to tell them how to roll their mods, but I go through their mods and I'm just like, this one is the worst mod I've ever seen. Get rid of it. It's very time consuming, but we do it. All right, let's see. Zander, Leviathan, Leia, badass motherfucker. You're going to get on the second unlock, which is right now. I'm going to say that you are about 11 million. And look at that, 10.973 million GP. So that kind of checks out right there, right? Let's check out your raid history. Raid history, you're doing 4-1. Okay, so you're already overperforming your guild, and I know that you're the raid point person, but your goal as a guild is 3 million, right? So you don't want to go too crazy. There's Jedi Master Mace Windu. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Mythic. I don't know if it's something I would do on stream. It is time consuming. I literally go through each character for these people and I create them a Google sheet. And I say, hey, this character, this mod's got to go. Here's why. This is what you're looking for. And they've found it to be very helpful. The thing is, you're overperforming your guild by a decent amount compared to what your expectation for your guild is. Raids, you're doing the 85 million. So your guild right now is doing less than 2 million per person. You're doing 4 million. I'd just be very careful about the amount of investment that you go into for this raid after Jedi Master Mace Windu. I would love to tell you to R9 Scorch and R9 Tarkin just because... Oh, why is this here? Just because, like, why not? And it'll pause your need to do anything else. But I almost feel like you don't even really need to do that, and you'll be shooting yourself in the foot by going too much higher if your guild is not going to also be doing the same thing. So that's a tricky point. I would kind of almost say, Tavarius, I can check in with you after this and skip you if I don't hear back from you. I would just be, I just would be very careful about going further, especially if you're going to be increasing your score with Jedi Master Mace Windu as well. Let's see, your tracker. We're close to Leviathan, close-ish. We're close adjacent to Leviathan. Have Profundity. We have Executor. We have Jabba, Kylo, Jedi Master Luke. JMK, you're fairly close to, which is interesting. Mace, okay. Lord Vader, we still got a lot going on for Lord Vader. Star Killer, Cal, we have. Afra, we have. Let's see this. I really hate that your lover boys are not R9, it really, you know that it hurts my soul unless you, yeah. It really strongly hurts my soul when people don't have the lover boys at R9. It's just one of the biggest things in this game right now, and you know that. You're here every day. You're aware of how strongly I feel towards that and how useful they are. Paw Patrol at R5 is not that big of a deal. R9 poncho bullying. I really I'm big on the R9 Paw Patrol as well, but I don't think it's as big of a priority. Night Sisters at CT2 I think is fine. Inquisitors Tuscans at CT2 I think is fine. Because of where your guild and Inquisitors Tuscan CT2 because you don't have Third Sister especially. I really think that the Lover Boys is far more important than you doing Tuscan, Scorch and Tarkin right now because you're already strongly overperforming your guild in the raid to a point where I just don't see it being viable for you. I think you'd be really hurting yourself by making that choice instead of this choice. Make the long-term choice instead of the short-term choice. Now, the important thing to remember is that we are in a weird time in the game where we have two ships, right? We just had a ship. A ship is coming up in the next 2 weeks. Then we have two characters that we don't really know what to do with yet. And then maybe we're going to get a 1 episode era, maybe. And then we're going to get the holiday era. We don't really know how that's going to work. But the holiday era is also a catch-up era. So there's a lot of catch-up time that is going on right now. And this is where somebody in the chat says something about mustard and haha, it's funny, right? But you have a lot of time now to kind of work on things that you want to work on. And those lover boys are going to be a strong, a solid like indicator of where you should be going. I do think that during that time, it would be advantageous for you to really go hard on Leviathan. CG basically just signaled very recently that they want Leviathan staying at the top of the meta. So that's going to solidify Leviathan there for a pretty long time. I know that you are working towards it, but things like Sith Fighter, which are Cantina farms, they hurt to do, but really need to get done. I would be putting my R9 efforts towards the Lover Boys. Then I would be putting all of my efforts towards Leviathan, right, as my two major things. I would be cutting off my raid stuff completely. Where is our Leia right now? Okay. Leia, we have to gear, obviously. Badass motherfucker, we have to gear, obviously. Mace. At that point, it's interesting because I'm wondering like, hey, do we go for JMK or do we go for Lord Vader? And honestly, during this catch-up period, I think it might be smarter for you to go for Lord Vader because you already have the clones. So you have his new team. They'll need to go to higher relics eventually for his team to be useful. But also, a lot of this 920 circuit boards and extra that you need to finish is General Skywalker. And General Skywalker is going to lead you into Hondo, and it's going to lead you eventually into Ahsoka. So I think during this catch-up period, it might be smart to kind of work towards this while you slow farm Hondo shards, right? So for the characters that Hondo needs, slow farming this while you're gearing Lord Vader. But I really think that before that happens, Lover Boys need to happen. Leia needs to be finished. Leviathan needs to happen. I don't even think you have to do Badass Motherfucker, but you already have him unlocked, so you might as well finish him off, right? Polish his knob, or whatever the kids are saying these days. Um, yeah, I mean, Zap, every time we've had a fleet disruption like that, the second top thing there always seems to be a way for it to be the top thing. So I think Leviathan is a fairly safe investment. And the nice thing is that it's a fairly auto-friendly win. So when I'm busy or when something's going on, it's very easy for me to get those wins in without even having to pay attention to the battle. Um, well, Xander, that's what I would do. That's how I would do it. That's the smart thing to do it. I would really, really, really deprioritize the raid for yourself, because you're already 30% higher in the raid than your guild's needed average, and your guild isn't even performing at that average yet. I don't DT, man, I don't even know what that means, but the kids are saying it in school constantly, and it pisses me off. Let's see what's going on here. I was gonna make a Kendrick joke. I R9 the 5 of them because I was afraid you would find my account and bully me. Yeah, for us, Ludi, there's nothing to catch up on. For Xander, there's a lot. AF1 sleep paralysis demon was Eggy, standing in the corner of the room with a sign that read R9 Lover Boys. All right, we're going to talk about this for a real second. For those of you that do not suffer from sleep paralysis, like, holy shit, I cannot stress to you. And by the way, good morning, Rayo. I cannot stress to you how terrifying sleep paralysis is. I hate it. I would love to kill it with fire. On the nights where it happens, it is the most awful experience. It is like being in a horror movie and you know you have to wake up, right? Like when you watch Nightmare on Elm Street and they're in that horror movie and they know they're asleep and they're just like trying to wake themselves up and they can't do it. That is what sleep paralysis is like. You're just like trying to open your eyes and you're like trying so hard, but they're like glued shut. It is awful. It is the worst. I do not wish sleep paralysis on anyone. The only thing about it that I guess is semi nice is that once you understand it's happening, you're not as terrified of it anymore. So that is not so bad now that I've experienced it so many times in my life that I'm like, all right, I know what's happening right now. Don't panic. But it is still such an awful experience. It probably happens like once a month for me, and I really feel bad for anyone that it happens to more. Thoughts on delaying Leviathan Unlock to take Lover Boys from R7 to R9? I think it depends on your fleets. If you are capable of getting into the top 5 already, I think do the Lover Boys first. If getting Leviathan will fundamentally alter your ability to get crystals in fleet, then I think Leviathan is first. All right, Darth Tavarius, I'm going to give you a minute while we're still chatting. If you are around, if you are not around, if you're on the phone, otherwise, like I said, we will skip you in the roster review pipeline. Yes, Xander, exactly that. Yeah, Hugsy, that's exactly what most sleep paralysis is. It's like this creeping shadow that just like comes up and it's coming over you like this, and you know you need to wake up and you just cannot do it. That is the most common form of it. I've had it in other forms that were a little bit more strange, but that is the most common form. It will alter nothing but GAC. Honestly, then I think that the Lover Boys makes more sense personally to me. If it's not altering your fleet climb, then I think Lover Boys are more important. All right, we're gonna pop back over to Brunch. We are going to skip Tavarius for now. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna pop this down. We're gonna go to Kerr. I know Kerr wanted to be here for Brunch, but it's super early in the morning for them. I'm part of the. You disappoint me every day, Xander. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. So let's see. We got Kerr here. It is. We're at 1. We're gonna say 154. We'll stall for about 10 more seconds. All right. Ugh, okay. 1 to 2 Leviathans, bulk of it is 6 to 7 star executors. More profundities have appeared, and my 4-star profundity has allowed me to hit first place because of R1. R1 is amazing, and it annoys me how amazing it is because I spent 25,000 crystals on it, and I just did not need to. I could have spent 0 crystals on it, and I would have gotten the same use out of it, but great for you, honestly. Are you coordinating? No, you are not. I really strongly recommend coordinating. Again, I've said this so many times. It's not about whether or not you can hit first. It's about providing an ecosphere where you and the other players can know who to hit so that everybody has to do less battles. Instead of having to do 5 battles a day, hopefully you're doing 3 battles a day. I strongly recommend looking out for your fleet Discord and trying to get in on it. Rebel Roundup, they all look to be in order. Places of power with first order, so I'm assuming you don't have Dark Ray because you're still doing it at 1 star. Secret and Shadows, that's fine. Fanatical Devotion, CT1, okay. They look to be mostly in shape except Peridia Patrol and Duel of the Fates. He's not disappointed, he's mad. I recently acquired Lord Vader, and I have 4 Zetas on him. I have all of his clones at Relic 5, with some Zetas missing. My goal was to fill out all the remaining Zetas for the LV team and Tarkin for Raid and GAC. I considered taking the clones to high relics. I only need to get the Ewok requirements for GL Leia done, then I can lock her 2. After I've been strongly considering the Leviathan grind. I will tell you that one of the fundamental misunderstandings of a Lord Vader team is that Lord Vader very, very, very strongly needs high relics on his team. He is a high ramping character. He's a high ramping character, and if you don't have that mastery, he's just not going to ramp fast enough. So when you have Lord Vader for use, you want him. You don't want a Relic 5 team behind him. You want at least a Relic 7 team behind him. No, I'm willing to pivot if there's a better path. How highly do you value efficiency? I prefer efficiency. Fun can come after. Any favorite characters? Luthen Saw Rebel seems like a fun time. I personally do Mon Mothma with Luthen. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people prefer Saw. I prefer Mon Mothma. Zap Attack. My fleet chart is from January 2017, and nobody talks in it, but we have a fleet Discord. So I wouldn't say anything is too old. It's just maybe your fleet is mostly gone. Shards for any important proving characters. Jocasta 252, DTMG, not really important, but you'll get them at the end of this one. Maz 80 of 330, not a big deal. Is there a list of characters for speed mod priority? And wanting to do a mod rework using Grand Ivory hot utils after your review. How important is it for pilot characters to have 6 dot mods? Thank you for taking the time to read it. It means a lot. I'm rather newish to the Star Wars scene compared to many others, so I'm just trying to get immersed more in the deeper community aspects. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'd be happy to answer. I'll probably be asleep during this stream. So how important is it for pilot characters to have 6 dot mods? I strongly recommend it. Not every pilot needs 6 dot mods. A lot of the less important ships in a fleet aren't going to need them. You're going to really want your fleet commanders to have 6 dot mods, hands down. You are going to really want your opening lineup to have 6 dot mods, hands down. So if you're hurting for 6 dot mods, really focus on making sure that your fleet commanders and your opening lineup of your fleets have 6 dot mods as a bare minimum. Anything beyond that, it's good to have. You're going to want to have it eventually, but it's not going to be as much of a priority. But also keep in mind the actual pilot mods themselves don't matter as long as they are 6 dot. That doesn't mean you want to take random crappy mods to 6, but it does mean if you have some 6 dot mods that maybe failed to roll right and you're like, I don't know what to do with this, you can throw it on the useless pilot, right? And that it'll be fine. And sometimes I roll a mod on a pilot and it turns out to be too good for that pilot, so I move it onto somebody else, and that's okay too. Home screen 7 of Malachor this morning. Can't wait to upgrade. Oh, I can't wait to have Lord Vader at Relic 9. That would be really nice. I'm going to say with this account, mostly 6-star Executors, 1 to 2 Leviathans. So I'm going to say around like 6 to 7 million, honestly. So let's check this out. Oh, 10 million. Interesting. I would have expected more Leviathans in a roster, in a shard with a 10 million player. Unless you've bought a lot of, the Lightspeed bundles, then that could be why. I want to check out a couple things real quick. Okay, so you have Darkside Ray, first of all. I can't give you the team needed because I've never had to do this, but Places of Power with First Order can be done at 3 stars with Dark Ray, with SLKR, Crew, Dark Ray. I don't know the other 2 teammates that are needed for it because, again, I've never had to do it. But I know it's very, very possible, and it's not, like, disgustingly hard to do. Fanatical Devotions, your Inquisitors. Okay, we don't have Third Sister. Do we have Grand Inquisitor? All right, we don't. So you're probably doing it with Tuscans. Duel of the Fates. Let's see. Order 66. No, not Order 66. We want Battle for Naboo. So R7. Again, I cannot stress enough just how strongly I feel that that these guys need to be taken to R9. It builds you out a very solid pathway of droid brains for a very low overall cost. And I strongly recommend refreshing the R9 tier the one time every single event. You will see a return on that investment very, very quickly. Without even doing a refresh, you're going to see that return within a year. But if doing that refresh, you're going to see that return in 5 to 6 months. And that's like a nothing burger when we talk about the timeline of this game. I do want to look at some of our stuff here. Let's try to get you on a pipeline. Let's try to get you on a goal. I'll just look at Discord real quick. I need to get Ewoks, Leviathan grind. Okay, so another thing, another thing on the Leviathan grind, I'm very, very, very strongly a proponent of never sleep on fleets. And once you are caught up on fleets, it makes the game a lot easier overall. So Leviathan is a very strong grind. One super important thing with it is if you're already hitting first, you don't have to 7-star it right away. Right. I love when I get a new capital ship and I don't have to bring it to 7 stars immediately because I'm already doing all of the things that I need to do. And that's a good place to be in. You don't want to be in a position where you need to get your Leviathan and then you need to drop 27,000 crystals. So it's a good idea to start it in the nearer time since your profundity is already allowing you to get first. And because there are very few, Leviathans in your shard right now. GLS in chat is saying replace Hux with OG Kylo in the Places of Power assault battle, but not to make sure not to use his TM ability, which makes sense because you don't want to dip into your TM. Hux just dies too quickly. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Are droid brains a major bottleneck at my level of the game? Yes, it is, because you need them for raids. You need them for combats in territory battles, and we do need to do combats in territory battles. I'm going to need them coming up for Smugglers Run 3. Relic 9 becomes something that you do need as the game kind of pushes in. Let's see what we're looking like here, though. Okay, Sith Eternal we don't care about. Grand Inquisitor, what is your guild? Okay, so they're probably not highlighting. It's interesting. Only doing about 1.2 million in the raid. Your guild is doing almost nothing in the raid. Ooh, man. Kir Kanos, you're just a member. I would honestly also strongly look for another guild. At 364 million, even where you're at right now, not doing super well in the raid, I think you could probably get into a 450 to 500 million guild. If you do R9 Scorch and R9 Tarkin, you could probably get into like a 550 guild that would benefit you. Just keep in mind that if you do that, and I do recommend doing that, that you're going to end up having to do guild farms, right? So things like Grand Inquisitor, things like where is she, BKM. They're going to want you to have specific farms in your account. We have Jabba, we have Profundity, we have Executor. How close are we to Leviathan? We are a little far from Leviathan. It does not matter though, personally. Leia, definitely finish Leia. You are so beyond close to Leia that not finishing Leia would be like a silly goose decision. My strongest recommendation right now, let me just check something out real quick. Jedi Cal. My strongest recommendation right now would be to work on the smaller things during this catch-up time. Use Leia as your primary farm right now. Get that knocked out of the way right away. Once that's done, use Leviathan as your primary farm. But while you're farming Leviathan, I would be getting Seer and Jedi Knight Cal Kestis to 7, Relic 7 for the Zepho mission in Rise of the Empire. I would be working towards your Inquisitors, right, as slow farms, working towards these guys and building them up. Really, you want them Relic 7 for the Tatooine mission, but at least R5 to start on the Grand Inquisitor journey. And I would be looking for a new guild and trying to get into something a little higher. If you want to push into a much higher guild, I would strongly recommend taking Tarkin and Scorch to Relic 9 because it is the easiest raid run. It does not take that much to get these two, and it will allow you to get so many more materials from your raid. And it will allow you to search for a guild that is maybe a little bit more your speed. So that would be my recommendation for during this catch-up time. Now, in terms of like speeds in Grand Ivory, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't use Grand Ivory. I know a lot of people swear by it. I like to do my mods myself. When it comes to mod speed, it really does depend on the characters and the team and the teams that you are using. I like personally, this is not too bad. This, I mean, I'd really try to get rid of this mod on Kylo, right? Like if you look here at his best mods, it's really hurting you that he has a health cross when he should really have an offense cross. But I try to have on any of my GLs, I'm going to want plus 20 speed at least on any mods that they have, as many as I can. And I'm going to be the most focused on trying to make sure that those mods are as in tune with that character as possible. I do like that this offense mod has the plus 5% offense, but I really would much rather have the 8.5% offense and like, I don't know, 5% health with him. You really want him hitting super hard. This right here, I really try to keep at least plus 20 speed mods on my GLs as much as I possibly can, especially on a character like Jabba who doesn't do damage, right? You just want him taking turns. If you're using Rex is a character that you literally want as fast as possible. If you're using a gas squad, Yes. Watch the "It's okay to leave your guild" thing. At R9, what does Tarkin and Scorch get in the raid? At R9, Tarkin and Scorch will do 3.6 million. Hands down, easy. Like easy, easy, easy. It is not hard to remod for that. I have a video on it. I have a Substack post on it if you prefer reading. Mara Jade. What's Mara Jade's speed? Okay, that's not terrible. Usually every team has like one or two characters that it's really, really important to have their speed as high as possible. Well, you don't have JMK, so Cat's speed is not going to be the worst thing in the world. It's not bad. We're just clicking on random guys here. 1, 2, 3. We have 4 health. What is your damage with her? Damage 9.7. Ray is not in a bad position, but I mean, if you're going for offense, you know, if you're one of those people that's doing like the offense build, having below 10,000 damage is kind of bad. I would really look for a speed mod, an offense speed mod that has +% offense on it. You know, your modding here is a little bit confused in you're trying to have the offense modding, but you're not prioritizing it a lot. I do know that some people do use a health mod here instead of an offense mod. It would be great to have a health mod here that also has offense as a secondary. And just remember that you can build a mod downline, right? So if you're like, how am I going to replace this? Keep it on there now. Work on that as a primary replacer, and then you move that mod to somebody else later on. And one mod upgrade can really set the tone. Can really set the tone for building out like 10 upgrades just from one mod getting upgraded. Should you cannibalize mods for GL or just make a new set? I think that if you ask different content creators, you're going to get different answers. I personally do not cannibalize mods. I very rarely remod and switch around mods unless there's a character I'm not even using at all and they have the perfect mod. It's super, super, super rare for me to do. But what I do is I prioritize a GL team, and I'm going to be constantly switching out those characters or those mods as often as possible until I'm happy with their mods. And then any mods that I switch out on them, I'm just going to drop down to somebody else. Check their Ugnaught. Let's see. Do they even have Ugnaught unlocked? You know, 33 mod speed. 8 speed mod. Here we go. It's a shame because like this defense mod maybe is going to be good on somebody else because it has a +5 modifier on it. This 7 spot mod is shit. Captain Rex, I definitely would want Captain Rex to be a little bit faster than this. Definitely faster than this, and crit damage over crit chance. Crit chance is kind of rough because a lot of teams that your top characters are going to be on are going to have close to 100% crit chance, especially if they're characters that rely on crits. So it's very rare that you want a crit chance mod. It is definitely needed in some cases, but this is definitely hurting him. These two mods, not too great with 10 speed. You know, C-Rex, Captain Rex is somebody that you do want to be very fast. I am curious because I've been on this kick lately. Moff Gideon, he's a great character that, like, I'm going to tell you in threes, Gidme is a great team. Moff Gideon with Padme, but the problem is that you need Gideon as fast as possible for that. I wouldn't say he's a priority character. I would say he's like a middle priority character. Then, you know, is Padme even up there? Padme is up there. So doing like Moff Gideon, Padme, Shakti can really turn the tides of a GAC if you do it right. but they are characters that need to be really fast. Again, though, I don't do Grand Ivory. Um, Zori Bliss needs to be really fast. I don't do Grand Ivory. What I do is I just work a mod from the top and I downline it through everything. But you know, everybody's gonna have their own thoughts on that. Um, Gidme is a beautiful, beautiful team, and I mean, my Gideon is probably not super great right now. We can check Egnards' profile. Um, he probably needs to be faster. Yeah, even mine isn't that great, and mine is at 352. Right? So like I'm already looking at this speed mod and going, hey, I need to get my Gideon maybe just a little bit faster. Maybe take him up a relic level or two. But Kerr, that is what I would do with your account right now. All small, a lot of smaller term things while you're finishing Leia and Leviathan. Tavarius, are you around? Are you off the phone? Have you completed your phone call? Going once. I know 826. I'm like saying phone numbers out loud, which is something silly and probably should not happen. Give you a couple seconds. Whole account remod. Look, like I said, I don't really do whole account remods. It's a pain in the ass. It's very. I don't think it's worth it for most people to pay for that because it takes a lot of time, effort, energy. Um, but you know, for some of the people that I work with, I do go through their mods and I just highlight specific mods that they have that are really off base and that they need to look into. And those people do find it to be beneficial to them. But you know, it's very time consuming, which makes it a more expensive prospect that a lot of people. It's not worth it for them to not do that on their own. I see Tavarius is not here yet, so we are going to go over to the next one, which is Koi Pond. So let's go. Koi Pond it is 21600. Nice. User, it's not an interesting. I do this for you. What are you? A full account remod. Go, man, Nooch. Nooch is your man for a full account remod. And I know other people that will do that for you too, dude. But I'm telling you, the way that you do your mods, our system works. Our system works. That is such a disgustingly time-consuming process. Like a devastatingly time-consuming process, especially with Grand Ivory. You have hot utils. But let's go. Koi Pond. Let's see. On Discord. Oh, that's Kir Kanos. Koi Pond. Top 20 Fleet Arena, 10 Leviathans. Top 50 is Executor Profundity. Fairly Dead Shard. Number 23 is a Leviathan who quit the game over a year ago. No active shard chat, but everyone's cordial. Yeah, our system works, man. I find you the mods that suck, and within like 24 hours, you're like, I fixed it. Your assault battles are great. Secrets and Shadows, CT1. That's fine. That's not a big deal one. Fanatical Devotion, bonus tier. Duel of the Fates, tier 6. Everyone pushes that in different ways. Pretty Patrol, tier 5. It's not the Ivory thing. It's only trusting him to one bot. Inside joke. What are you currently working on? Finished my guild's goal of 7.5 in Order 66, taking JMMW to R7 once after unlocking. Profundity just needs relics. Gear relics on Rogue One pilots is next. And listen, Rogue One pilots, here's the thing. Here's the thing with Rogue One. You don't even have to call it out to beat Executor, which is insane. Right? So just kind of keep that in mind. We'll swap shard farms to the pirates as they release. Currently farming Athano Quiggold, hoarding gear while deciding on my next farm. Finish shards on 000, BT1 and Tuscan Chieftain to finish my normal farms, not gearing them. Dead set on finishing Profundity. Not sure about gearing relicking the pirates. Waiting for info on Smugglers Run 3, but don't see a reason to not shard them. That is correct, right? Nothing hurts in sharding them. How highly do you value efficiency? What do you mean? Being efficient is fun. Put economy first. But I do enjoy PvP and don't mind splurging resources there. Characters I want to prioritize: Great Mothers, maybe some relics on Treya. Treya is a great team. And testing in Relic Delta kind of shows that Treya's team is still doing fairly well, even with Relic Delta. Caught up on Proving Grounds and redboxing every Conquest. Guild has finished Zepho, Mandalore, and raid goals. JMM, W, and PKH, our eyes are set on more SMs, and I really like to finish catching up on older GL Conquest teams so I can start farming the new. Now, again, I said this earlier in the brunch, but I'm not expecting you to watch the whole brunch if you are not here right now. Because of the 2 ships that are coming out right now, and because we have 2 bounty hunters after that, and we don't really know what to do with those bounty hunters yet, and because we have the holiday era coming up after that, this is a good time to play catch up, right? For the most part. So keep that in mind. I'm going to say your account is somewhere between 11 and 12 million. So let's take a look. We're at 11.4. Perfect. We have Leviathan. Nice. I want to check out, did you get Profundity in the interim? No, but you maybe bought the Lightspeed bundle. I don't know yet because I have not looked yet. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 GL. Tools. Gear Tracker. Kylo Ray. JML. Yes. C. Not so important. Lord Vader. Okay. Doku, I mean, Doko for Hondo might be worth just doing to get it out of the way. But I definitely think Hondo is more important than Lord Vader. Grand Inquisitor, no Grand Inquisitor. We have Bo-Katan, we have Leia, Leviathan, Cal, Sears R7, Afra, not worth it right now. Profundus, you did not buy the Lightspeed bundle. But I definitely agree with you. Again, I say this a lot. The best time to get a new fleet is when you don't need that new fleet. And right now, you don't need that new fleet. But it will be useful for you to have that new fleet because then you don't have to sub it up. Then you don't have to like shard it up. Then it's just something that you're doing over and over and over and over again. Uh, you can just kind of leave it where it is at. So that's just something to keep in mind. Profundity, I do strongly agree with that being the goal here. Ahsoka, not very strong of a need. The problem with Great Mothers, though it is nice that we got them as bonus shards for a while, but the problem with Great Mothers is that without a strong need to get them, they are a Cantina farm, and Cantina farms really suck to do unless you have to do them, which it's annoying, but it's just something to keep in mind. Even though the team is a lot of fun. Let's see. See our clones. I'm assuming you're doing the Tarkin Scorch based on what I'm seeing here. I do want to check out our raid, not our raid. Yeah, you are doing Tarkin Scorch. I want to check out Battle for Naboo. Okay, so tier. All right, perfect. So you are doing this already. Thank God. Okay, that makes me happy. Most of you don't like to make me happy. These guys are R7. Again, I'm strongly in the camp of bringing them to R9, but R7 is a natural stopping point for them. So if you don't get them to R9, I'm not as mad about them. GM shards for episode currency? Oh, that's awesome. Especially if you're buying the episode pass, I find that I always have too much episode currency as is. So that's definitely a worth it purchase if you are buying the episode pass. It looks like your fleets otherwise are in order in terms of shards. Rogue One's obviously new, but a good test of this is all right. Good. missing. Yeah, I mean, listen, we don't have any information on Smuggler's Run 3 yet, but um, any source of materials is worth getting, especially when it's attached to a GL. So while Profundity is your major farm right now, I definitely recommend strongly putting in consideration to shard farm for Hondo and Pow and Athano. You probably don't need to um, shard refresh them right now, but you're going to want to kind of shard refresh the upcoming ones as you get to them because that'll hold you back a little bit more. But I don't hate your idea of not gearing them right away as long as you're sharding them right away. But I do think that Hondo is going to be your next big farm after Profundity. It's almost 100% likely. Now, the nice thing is because you are waiting at this point and because you're just shard farming at this point and because it is going to take a while, I look, the Great Mother's team is great. Uh, it is a good team. Where are you on Morgan? Okay, Morgan is sharded. And Great Mothers, you need 2 stars. So maybe using some episode currency towards Great Mothers while relicking Morgan, it's going to give you a team that you want to play. And that's nice. I would recommend bringing Marin up a few relic levels. But, and I think Spirit. Spirit is the one that you're going to want to bring up there. So you have like Great Mothers, Morgan, Marin, Spirit. The 5th does not matter as much unless you're going to be using the Night Trooper and the Death Trooper as part of that team. I think some people use just the Death Trooper. I don't really see a need for that because then you're splitting up a great other team as well. But if you start applying a small amount of your conquest energy towards these guys, not conquest energy, your cantina energy towards Great Mothers while also doing episode currency towards it, because episode currency comes in droves. I could see working on this as a side farm while you are sharding all of your pirates. Where is your Treya team right now? Treya is at 3. What is the rest of the team doing? Scion, you don't really need. I use Sith Empire, Sith Empire Trooper. Nihilus. Fuck is Nihilus? There he is. The one thing I would be careful with these guys right now in the Relic Delta beta at Relic 4 and 5, they're still performing really well. At Relic 3, I don't know what that performance is going to be like. I think that Relic 5 is like a mandatory for that team. And you can do all of these things while you're working on your Hondo sharding because that's going to take you a while, right? But Profundity does come first so that you can kind of slow farm the shards in the background. Marin for the TBSM and TW, Spirit for GAC. That's generally what I see, Bessany. I personally use Old DACA lead for the TBSM, and I run it on auto. But it is typically what I see for the Great Mothers team when it's used in the Rise of the Empire. It's just not my preference. Old DACA has been working for me for so long that it's just not worth switching. Lunch at Wawa costs more one day than the Twinkie for the month. Buy now. Yeah. Episode Pass is nice. Rayo, I think you missed this. I kind of said with Relic Delta coming, I'm being a little bit more conscientious about my spending coming up. I have been buying the Episode Pass every month. I don't know if I'm going to buy the next one. My spending always has to do with how I'm feeling about the game, more so than about money. So, we're going to see. We're going to see what what Relic Delta looks like when it comes to the game, and how many of the small term problems, the short term problems that I've really isolated that need to be fixed. Before I decide if I want to continue my spending or not. In general, would you suggest stopping the upgrading of teams you already have outside of resources like Lover Boys until we see where Relic Delta lands, so you know roughly how far you need to take them? Yeah, Zap, I would be doing a little bit more hoarding right now, unless you're working towards a specific goal. Just because we don't know what the number is going to look like, and they have talked about lowering relic expectations for things, so we might even see like the amount of signal data go down, or just like they did with Relic 8 and Relic 9 and not needing circuit boards and bronziums. We might see that happening in the short term, and I have no idea. This is not live on beta. I literally have no idea. So I would only be relicking things that need to be relicked right now, while waiting on the things that are not as important to your account right now. That would be my personal opinion on that matter. Koi Pond, you know, that where you are in the game, it's there's not, you know, there's a lot more choices you can make, but I think Profundity really pushing the sharding for Hondo. You can hold off on gearing, that's fine. Great Mothers is not a bad choice. Anything else, I would just hoard materials other than that. With that said, everybody, I am running out of time. It is 9:50 and my bus is at 10:35, and I'm not even sure if my wife is awake yet. Hey, Berm, how's it going? So I do need to check to see if she is awake, so that we can get started on our trek into the city. We are going to a Denver Broncos bar so that we can watch the game around other Broncos fans. It is against the Eagles. I actually wanted to get tickets to this game. Me and Phil were looking to get tickets. Me, Phil, and Kate Gaming were looking to get tickets to this game. But when we were looking, even nosebleed seats were like $400 a ticket. So we unfortunately didn't go to the game. Tavarius, we will headline you as the start of next week. And we will go from there. We will definitely get to Tavarius and Rescue Panda next week. But thank you for joining me for brunch. And before we leave, I do want to thank everybody with all of this Relic Delta stuff. I have seen a lot of support with it. It sucks, right? When you see like 10 messages of support and then one really negative message, you only think about the negative message. But I've seen a lot of people reach out and say awesome things, and I really appreciate that. We as a society, I'm uncomfortable with compliments when people give me compliments in real life. But we as a society, we don't compliment people enough. We don't compliment people enough in non-creepy ways, right? Like, I know women often get compliments that can seem really creepy. But I think that just no expectation compliments for people. I just think we don't do it enough, and say nice things to people enough, and tell people that they matter enough, and don't message me now, but talk to somebody in your life and just be like, hey man, I appreciate you. Don't be weird about it. Don't say weird shit to women, or to men if if that's your thing. Just tell people what they mean to you, and why they mean those things to you, or that you just don't assume that what you say goes unsaid. Say nice things to people, and we will have a better society. So I know this is 2 weeks in a row that we have not done Draw with Egnards. I apologize. Time has been very tight lately. But we will continue with it in the future.